School is out and we are kicking off the summer with one of our favorite meals as a family for the summertime. We are doing a crock pot shrimp boil. I have talked about this before, but I'm gonna make it again for you now. And I thought I would share with you some other summer favorites to give you some ideas as we come into these warmer months. I have a 7-quart crock pot, and in here already I have 3 ears of fresh corn. We shucked it and then I broke it in half. My family is actually not as big of fans of the potatoes in this, so this is actually only half of the recommended amount. It calls for 1.5 pounds of little mini red potatoes, but I'm only using like 3/4 of a pound. And instead of the rest of the potatoes, I'm gonna use some green beans. These are just fresh green beans. I'm using about 1 pound. I'm gonna put those in there as well. Some garlic. I'm just gonna say a healthy amount of garlic, which for us is a lot. I also like to put in a couple of bouillon cubes or bouillon powder or whatever you use for that. The recipe calls for water, but I just like the flavor that the broth adds to it. I am juicing 1 lemon, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put the lemon peel in here. We'll take it out later. Topping that with 1 pound of smoked sausage. I got the beef, but I have used turkey smoked sausage. I've used just the regular like kielbasa, the pork smoked sausage. You just want the kind that's fully cooked, and I just have that in little chunks there on top. Some recipes will give you a specific amount of water, but I just want to make sure that everything is submerged, so it usually takes about 2 quarts of water here. I almost forgot the most important part, the Old Bay seasoning. You need about 1/4 cup of this. Since I'm making this in a pretty big pot, I'm gonna use probably a little bit more like 1/3 of a cup. A little bit more water just to get all that dissolved. Now I'm ready to pop the lid on and cook this on low for 6 to 7 hours or high for 3 to 4. If you are wondering where the shrimp is in this shrimp boil, have no fear, we're gonna add that later. This is such a popular one with my family. Everybody always wants extra corn on the cob, extra sausage, and extra shrimp. But since I have limited room in my crock pot, I've got a second crock pot going here with the exact same ingredients. This is one of several different crock pot recipes that I will make throughout the summer. And I use my slow cookers all year long, but especially in the summer because I can still cook delicious food and not have to fire up my oven or my stove. In fact, last summer I made 2 different videos about summer crock pot recipes, and I will be sure to leave those linked in the description box below if you want some more ideas. But I also thought I would go back into the vault, so to speak, and replay a recipe for you that I featured a few years back. This recipe is inspired by one coming from my friend Carrie over at Lazy Day Cooking Club, and if you are into crockpot cooking, you need to check out her website. I'll leave it linked in the description box below. It's for jalapeno chicken popper sandwiches. It is Sunday and we just walked in the door from church, but before I left this morning, I threw the ingredients for jalapeno chicken popper sandwiches into my crockpot. I started with 3 large chicken breasts, probably about 1.5 pounds of chicken breast. And then I diced up 2 jalapeno peppers to go into the crock pot with those chicken breasts. Carrie's recipe calls for seasoning it with just a teaspoon of garlic salt, which I added, but I also had the very end of an open package of ranch seasoning, probably about 2 teaspoons that I went ahead and put in as well. I also added 6 pieces of cooked bacon crumbled and 1 block of cream cheese. I also put in just 2 tablespoons of water because I wanted there to be just a little bit of liquid at the bottom as the chicken was cooking. I let mine cook on high for about 3.5 hours. So I'm going to shred the chicken up and then stir everything together to combine it. This recipe also calls for some shredded sharp cheddar cheese. So you can throw that into the crock pot at this point after you have cooked everything and shredded everything up and just stir it all together, or you could just serve it along with the jalapeno chicken mixture. I think this would be great in tortillas. It would be great over pasta or rice. It would be great on salads or in lettuce wraps. I am actually going to serve it with rolls to make little mini sandwiches. I had half a package of Rhodes rolls in the freezer that I wanted to use up, so I am just baking those up according to the package directions. I let them rise as we were in church this morning, and they're gonna be ready to pop into the oven, so we'll be able to make some really delicious sandwiches with these. But I think this would work well with other kinds of bread if you wanted to get already made up dinner rolls or like Hawaiian rolls at the store. And then I'm just gonna serve this with chips, with fruit, and it's gonna be a really easy, delicious meal that will come together very quickly. I am in the grocery store picking up some ingredients for one of our favorite summer desserts, which I'll share with you here in a minute. But I also thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about produce that I'm buying in the summer. Summer is such a fantastic time for produce, at least in my area. Right now I'm buying lots of berries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. They're all in season and usually a pretty decent price. Pretty soon we're gonna be into melons like cantaloupes and watermelons. Lots of great vegetables like cucumbers, asparagus, zucchini, and squash are something I pick up a lot in the summer too. Of course, corn on the cob, which you're gonna see in this video. My son also really likes cherries, and we're gonna see a good price on those coming into the summertime as well. I am, of course, you know this if you watch my channel, not opposed to frozen produce or even canned produce, but in the summertime is when I'm gonna take advantage of stuff being in season, being readily available, having the best possible flavor, and being the best price. Since I mentioned watermelons, I want to reiterate my own watermelon picking strategy, which usually works pretty well for getting some really delicious melons from the grocery store. First off, I'm looking for one with a big yellow spot, and the darker the yellow, the better. That means that it was allowed to ripen on the vine. That yellow spot is usually where it sat on the ground before it was picked. I'm also looking for lots of little brown veiny things. I think that if I did my research right, that's where the flower was pollinated, and it will help to make the watermelon a little bit more sweet. And additionally, I'm usually looking for the melons that are round like a basketball as opposed to oblong like a football. Basically, the uglier the watermelon, the better it will taste, at least usually. Since we are talking about summer, today's sponsor is absolutely perfect because it is, in my opinion, the gold standard of electrolyte drinks. Element is sponsoring today's video. Element is a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix, and each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, and other dodgy ingredients. And even though Element's list of consumers include US Olympians, professional athletes, special forces, electrolyte imbalances or deficiencies can affect us all, and they can cause things like headaches, fatigue, cramps, or weakness. Element can help anybody stay hydrated, even nearly 42-year-old moms trying to survive the Oklahoma summer. Some people would argue that Oklahoma is not part of the South, but at the very least, we are South adjacent, as I like to say. And if you have ever experienced a summer in the South, then you know that it is brutal. It is no joke, because we are not only talking about triple-digit temperatures, sometimes for months, we're also talking about humidity. So when it comes to electrolyte drinks, I want to be able to taste the salt. I want that drink to taste salty, and that is where Element delivers. But don't get me wrong, Element still tastes amazing. In fact, my favorite is the watermelon salt, but they have lots of different flavors to choose from, and even an unflavored variety if that's your preference. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can get a free sample pack that includes 8 Element flavor packets right now. Let me tell you how. When you follow the link in the description box below and you make a drink mix purchase, like the 12-count variety pack or the 30-count box, you are also going to receive a free sample pack that includes 8 of Element's drink mix flavors. Another thing I love about this offer is that it's good for both new and returning customers. So visit that link in the description box below and get your free sample pack with any drink mix purchase. And thank you again to Element for sponsoring today's video. I am whipping up one of our favorite summer treats. I call it yogurt pie or 4-ingredient pie because that's all the ingredients that it takes. I have a box of Jell-O in here, and I'm just gonna pour in about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of boiling water. I just want enough to sort of dissolve the Jell-O. Now I'm adding 2 containers of plain yogurt, not the Greek kind, just the regular kind. And I used lemon Jell-O, and I'm using strawberry yogurt. I normally do this with lime flavored Jell-O and lime flavored yogurt, and it turns out fantastic. But I tried to do this with strawberry Jell-O and strawberry yogurt last time, and it was a little too sweet, so I thought using the lemon Jell-O might help it have a little more tartness, which I kind of like in this pie. I just want to whisk that until it's combined, and then we are going to fold in 1 8-ounce container of whipped topping, and I will pour it into a prepared graham cracker crust. Then I just pop it into the freezer until it sets up. Usually it helps to make this a day ahead of time, but you know, at least 4 to 5 hours is probably going to help this one set up a lot. In addition to having very few ingredients that are readily available in most grocery stores and pretty inexpensive, one of the other things I like about this pie is its versatility, because you can change up the kinds of yogurt and Jell-O that you're using to make different flavor combinations. I think this strawberry lemon one is gonna be a hit. I am just jumping into the fridge here to see what vegetables we have that I can prep so I can put those out for people to snack on, because we're gonna be eating dinner just a little bit later tonight. My husband is on his way home from a work trip. He started a new job a few months back. He is a consultant for churches. He's a fully ordained pastor, but he consults with churches on issues like staffing and organizational health and capital campaigns. And he has been gone for a few days, so we want to make sure that we wait for him to enjoy this dinner. I try to get veggies into most of our evening meals, and I will resort to the fresh veggie tray with a little bit of dip all year long, but it's especially frequent in the summertime. So I will just look for, you know, whatever produce we have in the refrigerator. A lot of times bell peppers, cucumbers, carrots, definitely frequent flyers on the crudité or the veggie tray. And I'll just put this out and kind of let everybody snack on it before dinner, or if I'm running behind, I'll put it out with dinner and people will just put a few of those items on their plate. And a lot of times in these warmer summer months, I take the crudité a step further or farther, whatever, and I turn it into charcuterie. I put out some cold cuts, maybe some cheese and crackers, some dips, salsa, chips, different things that people can snack on and build a meal that's refreshing and cool and doesn't really require any cooking. Since I mentioned charcuterie and cold meals, meals that are cool and refreshing and not served warm, some of our other favorites and things that I've mentioned so many times on this channel include Italian sandwiches. This is a variety of cold cuts, pepperoni, salami, and thinly shaved ham on a big loaf of French bread. I usually pile some other vegetables, maybe dress it with a little olive oil and vinegar. My kids ask for this all the time. They also ask for the crispy chicken wraps that I featured here before, where I use a bag salad mix as a shortcut, and I add some chicken tenders that I pick up from the deli all chopped up and then roll them up into a tortilla. I mean, it's basically a chicken salad wrapped in a tortilla, which is great in the summer because it makes it portable. And of course, would it be a segment on summer sandwiches if I didn't talk about my 2-ingredient hack? This is where I take rotisserie pulled chicken and some kind of prepared dip, mix it all together. I usually put it on buns. You can roll it up into tortillas. You can top a baked potato with it. So versatile and so many different flavors you can use. Another cool and refreshing meal that I will make on repeat in the summer is this chickpea and orzo salad. It has orzo and chickpeas and also cucumbers. You can put tomatoes in it. It's got feta cheese. It has this really kind of light, refreshing dressing made from lemon and olive oil and different seasonings. And it's something that I will make up ahead of time and keep in the fridge to have for lunches, or I will often make this to take places where we are going to like a barbecue or to somebody's house for a cookout. I will leave that recipe linked in the description box below in case you're interested in checking it out. I have featured it several times on this channel. I was going to show you guys one of my favorite summer cocktails, but honestly, I just don't really feel like making it. So instead, I'm just going to share with you one of my favorite summer beers, because all I need to do to prep this is open it. Cheers. My shrimp boil, minus the shrimp, has been cooking on low for about 5.5 hours, so we're just about ready to add the shrimp to these. And I use raw tail on deveined jumbo shrimp. I've also used the tail off kind too, but I always use the raw shrimp and try to at least make sure they're deveined. And I did get these out of the freezer about half an hour ago so that they would thaw just a little bit. I'm gonna put a pound in each crock pot since I'm doubling this recipe. I just make sure that they're submerged. Turn the heat up to high and pop the lid back on, and it usually only takes them about 20 minutes or so to cook through, and then we'll be ready to serve this. Another great thing about this meal is that we can enjoy it outside on the patio. In fact, I usually just spread some butcher paper on the patio table, and after I drain the shrimp boil, I will just pour it onto the table. I'll put some butter out with it, maybe a few utensils, and everybody will just help themselves. And when we're done, the cleanup is easy because we just wrap everything up in that brown paper and deposit it in the trash. Right now we have some rain rolling through, so hopefully that is going to roll on through Tulsa in time for us to enjoy this meal outside on the patio tonight as usual. I am leaving lots of links in the description box to other videos and recipes that I have referenced so that you can check them out. Or YouTube thinks you might be interested in this one. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any new ones, and I'll see you soon.